Let's Be Honest podcast, maddest podcast, baddest podcast, never the saddest podcast. And today, we might not have Chris Brown in the building, but we have the promoter who's bringing Chris Brown. Today we have Jay Upscale. Welcome, brother.
Respect.
It's been a minute that was out here. It's been a minute.
A minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but you're there now.
Schedule has been crazy.
It be like that. And since you are on Jay too, that means you're destined for greatness. So
absolutely.
Before we even get into the big event come Sunday, well, the big weekend, right? Before we get into the weekend, who is Jay Upscale? Are you Jamaican?
I'm not Jamaican. I'm Caribbean, originally from St. Lucia.
Okay.
But lived in New York for quite a while. Well, I was born in New York, grew up in St. Lucia, but went back to New York in about 96. And I've been there ever since.
Just born.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just born. Where were you in New York? Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, of course.
Flatbush?
Canarsie. Used to live on Flatbush.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to live in Flatbush. Off Church.
Off Church?
Church on Brooklyn.
Flatbush and Midwood.
Okay. No idea.
But grew up in the 90s.
Oh, there we go.
This man from...
Yeah, my first job at 90s. Then time I didn't know what is 90s, just as I hear about 90s and then, we do my homework and know what is 90s.
95th and Wilmore.
So, what's your Jamaican connection? Just New York?
Well, I mean, for me, it's not about just a Jamaican connection or St. Lucian connection. It's a Caribbean connection. You know what I mean? I mean, when you look at events, I focus on elevating the Caribbean culture any which way I can. So what I'm known for in New York is bringing a lot of our artists and Caribbean events into venues that you would never expect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What they would call the white boy venues.
Like a Brooklyn Museum.
Brooklyn Museum. Shout out to Sunrise PP, So, for example, Governor's Island, for example, Brooklyn Mirage, Capital, Marquee. So a lot of the venues that you would not expect Caribbean events to be in, that's where.
Yeah, because normally, living in New York for a couple of years, I noticed that the Jamaican or the Caribbean events, it's more like banquet halls or...
Right.
Yeah, it's in a gear that posh look.
Right.
Like, only in recent times, your events and that's a Bad Indian as well.
Right.
You kind of bring milk and honey into the city and, certain venues, as I say, that you'd never see a Caribbean event.
I mean, that's where I started because, I mean, for me, I came from the corporate world and I left finance to do events full time. Best move I could have ever made.
But that's a risky move, though.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. You go to school for how many years? Because that's what you were taught to do. Go to school, get a job, work till you're 65 and die. Or pretty much go on retirement and die. But for me, I mean, with a decent education, college education, went that route and figured that wasn't for me, So when I left corporate or Wall Street, as they would say, everybody thought I was crazy, Zero support from friends, zero support from family. And I was back in the day where, you had to hand flyers and stuff. And
real groundwork.
Bro, you see a lot of promoters have it good now. Throw a couple flyers on Instagram and that's it. No, I came from like in the winter, box of like 10,000 flyers and hand-to-hand combat. Back in them days, they had what, High Five?
That's back in them days for real.
High Five, MySpace.
Yeah.
Big up to Tom. What was it, white boy Tom?
Yeah, from MySpace.
I was like this.
Tag.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it was rough, in the winter, dead of winter, literally frostbite, just handing out flyers. And that's how it started,
And then Upscale, is that a group?
Well, what it is that, it's not that I'm some bougie type, It was Upscale Entertainment. So I was just Jay from Upscale. And that's really what it was.
Yes, I'm saying it's a collective.
Well, it was. And then I walked away from the partnership and just kept the J Upscale name and ran with it.
Then for rebrand?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It was a partnership. We started doing events in the city, and the way, it came about was me working on Wall Street and going to a lot of events in the city and kind of realizing like, yo, every single venue was the hip hop promoters, the white boys, Spanish hip hop guys, and there was absolutely no Caribbean events in the city, zero. But what was interesting is that when I was at these hip hop events, the minute one Caribbean event song came on, the entire crowd would transform. And I used to think to myself, yo, damn, could you imagine if, you know, a quarter of that crowd or even half of that crowd was actually Caribbean, but just like me, they went to these events because there was nothing for us. So what happened was, it's funny. I figured, you know what? I want to do events. It's in my blood. Like, I want to do it. But I was always focused behind the business side of events. So I decided to, you know what? Let me try my own event. Could not get a venue. I had no name. They didn't know who I was. So I was like, all right, damn, how could I get into the event space? How could I get a dope venue in the city? So I figured, you know what? Let me go through the back door and do after work events. So that was from the time of like 5 p.m. to about 9, 10 p.m. when, you know, before the nightclub would start.
Like you had a warm up.
Exactly. So I was like, all right, cool. Had no clue about events. I didn't know how to create a flyer, nothing. If you saw my first flyer, bro, you would die.
Right.
You know, so I just had one of my boys create a flyer, you know, the who, what, why, when, where on the flyer, looked crazy. Printed about 10,000 flyers and started handing out flyers at the train station. Now imagine your friends looking up to you like one of the first guys to go to this big investment banking firm and you out here by the train station giving out flyers looking crazy. So for me, I was happy if I got 200 people, I would have been happy. So again, me being ignorant, I just hit every which way possible. Went to my phone, handed out flyers, went on High Five, MySpace, just the determination to just make it happen. Fast forward the day of the event, I said, Lord, if I could get maybe 150, 200 people, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
5 o'clock after work came at a spot called Eugene's. A lot of people in New York knew that legendary spot. So, you know, 5 o'clock came, you know, 5, 6 people on the line. About 5:30, about 50. Wow, okay. By 6 o'clock, maybe I had about 200 in the venue. Bro, by 9 o'clock, I'll never forget, I had 759 people at my first Caribbean after-work event, Caribbean Fridays.
In the city?
In the city. Following week, about 900 people. And it just showed testament that, you know, there was a huge gap that needed to be filled in the city, you know, where there was young, because think about it. When you hear Caribbean in New York or most places outside of the Caribbean, they think hole in the wall, weed smoke. A lot of venues did not understand. And when they hear Caribbean, they think Jamaican.
Yeah. And bangarang and jump off
the
sky and
you know,
hang
ceiling fan and,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, a big part of what I do, to answer your question, was just educating a lot of people as to, you know, we're way different. Our spending power is a lot higher than most people think. We carry ourselves, we know how to carry ourselves, we have a good time, and no issues. So that's how it started for me in entertainment. So then now from the after work, built a nice database, built a name for myself, and I was able to transition that into the late night events because I had a resume and a track record of doing good, clean, you know, events where people would leave from Brooklyn, Queens, all 5 boroughs to come to the center in Manhattan to, you know, do events.
Yeah, and there's a similar event in Atlanta named Rum Punch.
Rum Punch Brunch or something like that?
Yeah, Rum Punch Brunch. And
yeah.
It's the only party in the city, and if it's not them doing it, it would be some of my friends named New Atlanta.
Right.
They do things in the city as well, whether it's Buckhead, Midtown, or Downtown. And yeah, you'd have to see Rum Punch doing this every single week, pulling 1,000+ people every Sunday.
And that's the thing. When you look at Caribbean Fridays at Club Element, that was a weekly Caribbean event that went on for like almost like 8, 9 years. Literally created history because it amazing venue. It was a combination of reggae, soca, and here's a cool thing: any artist that would be traveling from the Caribbean, that was the only place for them to go.
Yeah.
So I could show you pictures of Usain Bolt, big up to Squeeze, David, Aniki, Assassin, Beanie Man, Bounty. Every single artist that were in town were like, yo, we have to go to Element.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage. In New York, you have to stop by.
Absolutely. And it was in the city. So you saw a different crowd and whatnot. So it was fun times. Made some great money during those days.
So fast forward to now, we have this bizarre weekend,
Right.
right? How many teams? I know you obviously.
Well, it's myself, Jay Upscale. It's Ryan, View Empire from Miami. And it's Solid Agency, Sharon Burke and Judith Bodley.
Okay, so what brought that collective together? Why was it the case where it was started by Ryan, it was started by you, and then he was like, yeah, I think you're the perfect person to get this done? Like, was it that, or was it the case where on a bin link and bin just didn't want to do something?
I mean, it's interesting because, as a foreign promoter or foreign entity, when you think of Jamaica, a lot of times you kind of think, either like a Dream Weekend, big up to PP, Ollie, Andrew, or you think of like a Solid Agency, Sharon Burke. Like anyone from foreign who has Sharon Burke, you think legend. Think what you want, it is what it is, Me being from New York and doing a lot of events to Miami, Atlanta, New York, St. Lucia, all throughout the Caribbean, Trinidad. And then you had Ryan, who, he does stuff in Miami and had the link with Chris Brown. We all came together and to put things together,
Okay. Okay. I know. Why Chris Brown though?
Why not Chris Brown, bro? I mean, when you think about it, when you look at Chris Brown's swag, the way he dressed, the way he dances, you would think Chris Brown was Jamaican.
Well, true, but the reason why I asked that question, because he's been here. I think he's been here 2 times.
No, one time,
One time?
13 years ago. And he wasn't even booked.
Wait,
for that
he
show.
wasn't booked for Summerfest?
Nah, man. No, that was like a pass-through situation.
The one where him and Usher did on the stage?
Yeah, he wasn't booked.
Okay.
So this is, I don't know if Usher's booked, but I know Chris Brown wasn't booked.
Okay.
From my knowledge, I could be wrong.
Okay.
But like when we did because we ask a lot of people like, what artist would you want to see? And by far, everyone said, either Chris Brown or Rihanna.
No Drake?
I mean, Drake.
I mean,
The
Drake
numbers for Drake to pay for Drake is
That's
like,
true.
Is yeah.
That's true.
But then it's also about availability too. Now, here's a cool thing about it. When you have someone like a Drake, or you have someone, all right, take Burna Boy for example. Based on the fact that Burna Boy did Jamaica, it opened the gates for people like Chris Brown to say, oh, yo, Burna did Jamaica. And then another artist will say, like a Usher, for example, say, yo, Chris Brown just did Jamaica. All right, boom.
So we can't.
So it's a domino effect.
Yeah, we're in the conversation of tour dates.
Well, that too, because if you think about it, most of these artists, their tour starts from on the East Coast, like let's say like a New York, and they come down Miami, and then they go right back up Texas and whatnot. So the goal is when a lot of these artists go on tour, we say, hey, when you hit Miami, it's an hour away, take that private jet, let's hit Jamaica, add that as an official part of your tour, and then you go back,
Yeah, I think Burna kind of opened the door.
The door, yeah.
For that,
sure.
Because we weren't getting these type of artists in the Caribbean. I mean, some fest used to do it consistently, and then them stop. I think Joe's new method wasn't feeling the whole international vibe. So yeah, it's good. But the lineup though, who have the lineup? Ding Dong.
You have TJ. You have Sean Kingston.
What's Ding Dong? Byron.
You have Byron Messiah. Crazy.
Gramps
Morgan.
Can we explain the Gramps situation?
I mean,
Gramps is a great artist, by the way.
Absolutely.
Love Morgan heritage, but I just don't see how he fits in this.
Well, but I mean, when you think about it, Jamaica just celebrated 61 years of, independence. So, you want to almost, you know what's funny? Chris Brown touches every single demographic, believe it or not. So when you have some of the more mature folks and stuff, you know, it's in alignment with Gramps Morgan.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, man, that's what you mean. So you want as much as the friends part of the show,
right?
Everybody, I get something with them.
And that also speaks to the ticketing, because just as there's something for everyone musically, there's also some, something for everyone financially. You know, from the prices of the tickets, which started at $45 US, all the way up
everybody
to.
want to see Chris Brown like really see him. Man, not often can really see him from the bleachers, you know.
Yeah, but then again, when you see Chris Brown, is either on Instagram or TV.
To me?
I mean, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, I get you.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you get to experience that, you know. And listen, my daughter is 8 years old and can sing every one of Chris Brown's songs, even to the point where some of 40, 50-year-olds want to see Chris Brown as well.
And right now, you would have like the analytics on ticket sales. What is the capacity you're looking at?
I mean, the capacity is looking crazy.
Over 20,000?
I mean, 20-ish.
20-ish? You think it can
we don't want the tax guy to come after us, but maybe like a 10,000, or maybe like a 4,000.
I think it will look spectacular. But question though, is it now a case where this is going to be an annual thing?
I mean, it could be, biannual thing. For me, it's like every 6 months. Like, for example, I just did Marshall Montano in Barclays Center.
Oh, that was you too?
That was my show. Yeah.
Big show.
Amazing.
No.
Not that one. So last year, Labor Day weekend in September, did Marshall, first Caribbean artist
to sell out the Barclays,
or promoter to sell out a stadium, period. No Caribbean artist has done that, well, other than maybe like a Bob Marley, but, and then fast forward, we did the roast of Marshall Montano in King's Theater, epic event, and then went to Trinidad for Carnival, did about 30,000 in the stadium, and then now Chris Brown in Jamaica.
It's 40,000.
I mean, like 4,000.
I mean, how much stadium can hold? Stadium can hold upwards of 30 in the stands alone, because champs go like 30K. Yeah. So we say if you add the fee, you have to deduct some of the stands.
But here's what it is, right? One of the things that, and again, that's where we start to get into the philosophical, realm of events. I tend to take a less is more approach. I would rather do less people, have a slightly higher ticket price, but give people that experience, because you have somewhat of a law of diminishing return where it's like, take this room, for example. You could put, let's say, 100 people in here and ram it out and make that money at the door. But then if I'm standing in this corner right here, for me to get to that bar, headache. I get there once, and then I'm like, yo, too much headache, I'm good. But then if you had maybe like 25 people where freely you can move, you can interact, you can dance, you can, you find that the revenue is a lot higher when you take somewhat of a less is more approach. So to be honest, the goal is not to try to fill the stadium out to 40,000, even 30,000 people.
It's an experience.
It's definitely an experience. And then when you look at events in the past where they say, yo, the greedy promoters, think about the logistics of trying to have 40,000 people use a bathroom. Something as simple as a bathroom. Security. Something happened, a stampede. Processing those people to come into the venue. These are things that you have to think about.
Parking, all of that.
Everything on every level. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, in Trinidad, it bit me in the ass. You know what I'm saying? Because, you had that many people during Carnival where there's already logistical issues during just Carnival itself.
That's natural.
Just naturally. You know what I mean? So, these are a lot of things that you think about when doing concerts.
So how about corporate Jamaica and the government? You have any backing from them?
Not the government per se, but corporate Jamaica, yeah.
So not even from like Minister Grinch?
We had our conversations. Well, we did get some good support from Babsy, But other than that, it's, you know, corporate America definitely came out to support.
America or Jamaica?
Corporate.
Yeah, America, you said.
I said corporate America, corporate Jamaica. Edit that and boom, bang.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna say this event is the talk of the town. I don't know where anybody else is going to be, but it's a weekend though. So let's talk about the weekend. We know we have, I think, Rise and Toast.
We have, well, before Rise and Toast, we have Hot event, which is an invite only.
Okay.
So that's on the Friday from about 7 p.m. Then you know, we go into Remember This, which is a tribute to, you know, 90s when dance was nice. And then the Saturday we have Rice and Toast. Big up to Omen and Hybrid, you know, from Miami.
Yeah.
Hosted by Jada Kingdom. And then that night we have Indigo, which is a late night event. And then we have the final event on Sunday.
And how people are gravitating to the events before the show?
I mean, we've been getting quite a bit. So here's the thing. You have people flying in from Trinidad, Bahamas. Anywhere there's a direct flight to Jamaica, flights are sold out. So you have a lot of the influx of these people coming from around the Caribbean, as well as, you know, Miami, New York, Atlanta, Toronto. So these people are coming in for the weekend. So they're looking for things to do and whatnot. So the response has been pretty good.
Okay.
You know, the response has been pretty decent. So, I mean, the Sky Suites and the Cabanas were the first to sell out. You know?
Yeah, who bought them?
I mean,
the taxman want to know them.
Well, you know, it's a barter system. You know, we gave a lot of the Cabanas to sponsors and stuff. You know, we do have people who came in from around the Caribbean. You know, you have some of the big boys in Jamaica who bought, and then New York. You know, New York is that's all they care about. You know.
So how high is the skybox?
How high is the skybox? That's a good question.
Like, is it like by the lights?
No, not so high. That's in heaven. Nosebleed. Nah, the way we did it, we built it on the field. So you have the cabanas, and then you have the Sky Suites above that. So they will have an obstructive view in the stands, in a sense.
Okay.
So those seats are just not going to be used.
And in terms of production, did Jamaica satisfy your production needs? Knowing to use a man with the everywhere, Trinidad, New York, did we get it right here?
So honestly, we did use quite a bit of the what's local on island, but a big part of it was quite a few containers we had to bring in. I mean, you know how in the past you would see like certain glitches with production? With Chris Brown and artists of that stature, that doesn't exist. There's no mic chipping out or nothing like it has to be perfect.
Is that reference to the Burner show?
I mean, it's in reference to just the Caribbean in general. Because most shows you go to, it's like there's always something. With this, we had to get it right because of the pains of what happened before. So, I mean, like almost 40 engineers came in and staff, and with, you know, for those of you in Jamaica who know about Chuckles and Martin Lewis, you know, we took the two best production people on island, period, and we brought them together, in addition to some of my people and Chris Brown's people. So, yeah, production will be top notch.
We're looking forward to see it. We looking forward.
It's looking crazy. Is
there any other special guests? Because honestly, I was kind of disappointed not to see Elephant Man booked, to be honest.
Well, here's the thing. You don't have to be booked to be there. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what I'm looking forward to is Ding Dong and Ravers versus Chris Brown on stage.
So I'm to iFlames. You know iFlames?
Of course.
All right, that's what I talk about now.
Of course.
Yeah,
listen, there's some cool things there's some cool things that's gonna happen on stage that, yeah.
And performance time. How long we looking at? Over?
Full show. So you're getting the full Indigo tour show with the dancers and the lights, and the full, yeah. And Chris Brown, as he posted online, he's excited. Like Chris Brown is here. Chris Brown got here from Monday. So he's on island and he's ready.
To enjoy himself.
Yeah, man.
Well,
I mean, he wanted to do a few street dances too, so
yeah, for sure. You know, you have to touch that Uptown Mondays.
I was there. Big up to Boom Boom.
Yeah, big up to Boom Boom. You know, Bossy for sure. Boom Boom again.
Yeah,
You have a certain party still.
Crazy. But, you know, I mean, for info, you know, you could go to bzrweekend.com, bzrweekend.com. All the information. There's ticket locations, Fresco and Fontana locations, AC Hotel for some of the physical tickets, you know.
Okay. You want to give us some tickets here?
Absolutely, why not?
What I gotta do?
Get some VVIP tickets, but how you want to do it?
That one I don't know. What I gotta do it? What I gotta... All right, now
you see, here's the thing. With ticket giveaways, it's like you ask a question, you just Google it. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But so normally them get the same answer, but we just like use an automated system and it just picks.
See.
So we just can put the link in something and just pick somebody.
Right.
But all right, here. Tell me the location of his first event. That's good?
It's invite only.
No, of your first event you've ever held.
Of my first event? Yeah. Wow.
That's
you
gotta do your homework for that. You gotta do your homework.
That's some homework.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a good question then.
Yeah.
That's a good.
I did. But he didn't give the address. We need the address.
The address.
Yeah.
All right.
So you gotta go do your homework.
If you really want that VVIP,
I don't even remember.
You have a hashtag BZR, BZR weekend.
And you could tag me at J Upscale, JAY Upscale.
There we go.
You know?
So run it through.
Yeah.
Run it through. So the question.
All right. So the question is, where did J Upscale keep his first event?
The address.
The
address of my first
event.
After work party event.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them a hint. It was in Manhattan.
Yeah. So it's probably on Broadway. Who knows? Hashtag BZR weekend. And tag. Well, them can't tag on YouTube though.
Oh.
So yeah. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but respect for passing through.
Love, manners, blessings.
We will be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we will be there.
Just link the boss, Judith Bodley.
Hmm?
Just link Judith Bodley and she'll
right.
line everything up.
And what else? We want to big up PP again too. Remember we have breakfast party.
Well, we're doing
3rd.
Sunrise. And, you know, that's a cool... And I'll kind of get into this a little bit because somebody said, you know, I noticed that there's been a slowdown in events in Jamaica or the frequency in events. And I said, not necessarily. What it is a lot of some of the local promoters are now exporting their brand into international markets. So, for example, you know, Sunrise
is in Trinidad as well.
Is in Trinidad, one of the sickest events in Trinidad for Carnival.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, PP decided to take the leap of faith and take it to New York. So we had Brooklyn Museum, impressive venue, historical venue in Brooklyn. You know, big up to Ollie and Bellamy and, you know, the whole crew. So Sunrise.
And I kind of respect the synergy now between promoters. It's like somebody coming to your city, than like, I'm not going to try to take over your city. It's like, you're the spot now.
Absolutely.
It's your place. I respect you. I know this is your town. Let's do some work together. I really
And I mean,
love
PP is one of the most charismatic, hardworking people I've seen in a long time. So it's a breath of fresh air to see like he's like, yo, listen, I'm coming to New York, Jay. I'm getting an Airbnb and I'll live there for like 2 months just to make sure that, you know, I'm not just coming to throw a party. I want to be part of the culture. If you follow his Instagram, he's all over the place. He's riding his little, you know, city bike and stuff with a little basket in the front.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you know, the same love that's shown to me when I come here, I just try to do the same when I have my friends and business partners come out to my city.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part.
Well, congrats and congrats
Appreciate
again when you
brother.
win big. Just remember we.
Yeah, man, you're safe.
All
you're
right.
safe.
This is Let's Be Honest. We're gone.